On today's show,
Darren Williams makes it a best of 3 with the Hawks, and the Bucks are suddenly halfway to history.
in Crossfire, we debate who will go home with the hardest to guard honor at the inaugural Basketball Players Awards this July.
And we'll look ahead to tonight's key Game 5 between the Spurs and the Clips.
It's Tuesday, April 28th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to another playoff edition of The Starters. Whether you're joining us live online, you're listening to the podcast, you're joining us on NBA TV, heck, even if you're joining us on YouTube later in the day. Excited to have you here. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
Excited to be here.
To my right, Starters blog editor Trey Kirby.
Hey-o! Hey-o!
Finally, international man of mystery taking it to the max. That's Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lily, all right, on tonight's edition of The Starters, we got Crossfire. Tess and I will go head-to-head in that, and we'll look at a few of the games from last night. But first, let's start with the Kevin Love update. We know a little bit more. Cavs general manager David Griffin said today that it's, quote, highly unlikely that Kevin Love will return at any point this postseason because of the shoulder injury. Love was officially ruled out Monday for the Cavs' second-round series against either the Bulls or the Bucks after suffering the dislocated shoulder in that series-ending Game 4. In addition to the dislocated shoulder, there's ligament and labrum damage. Bleacher Report's Howard Beck, he's saying that he could be out for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So it went from, we don't know, maybe it'll be a couple days and we'll find out, to then, well, he's going to be out for the entire series in the second round, to suddenly, again, highly unlikely we even see Kevin Love at all.
And I feel terrible just for Kevin Love. His every move has been questioned this year. He's been under a lot of scrutiny after 6 years of not making the postseason in Minnesota. To have the postseason rug torn away from under him, it's pretty sad news. At the same time, I'm not a doctor, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again, definitely not in the second round, but let's say the Cavs do get by the second round. I say that only because this seems like a comment from David Griffin to say, hey, media, get off our back. Do not ask us about it again. Who knows when he comes back, but it's just extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, you see how important he's been so far, offensively, at least, to the Cavs in that first-round series against the Celtics. I didn't know Kelly Olynyk also stole his rug.
Took his rug, really tied the room together. Kind of a bummer.
Took the playoff rug. Other bad news for the Cavs, J.R. Smith. The league has come down on him. We were wondering how many games he would get for popping Crowder in the head of Game 4. Well, he's been suspended 2 games for clocking him there, that just swinging around there, getting him up in the head. We were wondering if it was going to be 2 or 3, Lee. You thought maybe even a little bit more. He gets 2 in the end. He'll serve a suspension for Games 1 and 2 of the 2015 semifinals when they either host the Bulls or the Bucks, and we're still waiting to find out who they'll play. So, I mean, this one even dumber, right?
Yeah.
The other one, the Love injury is unfortunate, and none of us really thought it was an intentional play by Kelly. But this one is later in the game. You already know he's out, and JR almost has a weird retaliation, just turns around and hits a guy. Yeah.
Unprovoked, just silly. And I think he's lucky to only get 2 games. I think the Cavs will take that and just move on.
That's right. All right, well, let's get to some of the games from last night. And we actually have to start with the Hawks-Nets series, which is all tied up at 2 games apiece. Brooklyn, surprising us once again. They get the 120-115 overtime victory. And it was all because, really, Darren Williams, who turned back the clock. I mean, this photo was going around the last couple of days that Darren Williams was missing, and they were posting these around Brooklyn. Have you seen him? There's quite a reward for him. But we found him, because that was an unbelievable 35-point performance.
Yeah, jokes aside, while watching this game, I imagine trying to explain Darren Williams to somebody who doesn't watch basketball, and it's pretty hard. I mean, number one, because I don't watch it with anyone. I watch it alone. It's pretty sad.
Oh, that's
but also
so sad.
Very, very sad.
No, but also because 5.5 years, he starts his career with Utah. You think he's entering his prime, and then the last 4.5 years, he's just been an enigma, and it's kind of hard to blame injuries when you see games like this. Although they're obviously few and far between, and maybe the injuries have a lot more to do with it than we believe. But to go from 18 total points in 3 games to 35 in Game 4, I mean, what a difference.
I'm glad you said that. We have to point out, that's not the average.
Yeah.
He wasn't averaging 18 points per game 1 through 3. That
No,
was the
no one would have
line.
a problem with that.
That is unbelievable. Yeah, just combined 18 points for the first 3, and then he goes for 35, hits 7 threes, and the Hawks did not really have an answer for him in Game 4.
7 threes is a lot, but it wasn't like he just caught fire from 3, and that's how he put up 35 points. It was 100% old Darren Williams. He looked fast. He looked strong. The crossover was back. He was doing his little jump passes where he's under the rim and still finds these guys outside. He looked amazing, and he kept up the entire game, which I thought was pretty impressive.
John Schumann has a post up on NBA.com wondering if all the criticism of Deron Williams, sort of led by Paul Pierce there at first when he was coming out questioning him when Paul Pierce had that ESPN article where he just ripped on everyone. He wonders if that's almost galvanized the Nets locker room of everyone piling on D. Will, because you've heard Coach Holland stick up for him, KG, excuse me, not KG. The other guy, Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson.
Jack,
the other old guy on the Nets there, and still plays there. A lot of these guys come into his defense.
Yeah, well, and they probably had to as well because they knew they were in trouble in this series, even though they were down 2-1, and they needed something, a spark from him, and that's probably what it was, because the knock on Deron Williams throughout his career is he doesn't step up in big games. You see a performance like that, though, last night, and now he has to go out and replicate it. Otherwise, people will go, well, he just had one good game and that was it. But that's what now the Brooklyn Nets have to look at him and go, Deron, you can do it. Look what you did last night. He got a couple of those threes, were kind of just heat checks. But when you're hot like that, you just got to throw it up. And he was fantastic. But now the pressure is on him and the Nets to do it again in Game 5.
There's some serious pressure on the Hawks as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it's all on Jeff Teague to me. He has to get more aggressive. I mean,
Yeah.
they're looking to take away Kyle Korver, and that makes sense. But he's being taken away by another guy on the perimeter that's basically Jeff Teague's guy. Jeff Teague has space, and instead of trying to find Kyle Korver, just take that space. I think 4 games in, he's got to learn to just do it, just to find that space and be that Tony Parker and start it that way.
You weren't too happy with the Hawks shot selections down the stretch here, because this was a close game and obviously went to overtime.
Yeah, they have Kyle Korver. He's an amazing three-point shooter, but they were down by 3 with like 55 seconds left, and all they wanted was a 3.
Yeah.
Every 3 they got was pretty contested. They took 3 of them, one at 45 seconds, one at 29 seconds, and another one at 21 seconds. That's enough time to get another basket, go play the foul game, you get the ball back numerous times with that much time left. I just thought that was odd coaching from the coach of the year. But on the other hand, you do have Kyle Korver, so why not give him a shot?
That's what Al Horford is saying after the game. He says, look, Kyle gets those 3 shots. You take him any day. You give it to him 100 times.
Damari Cowell's offensive rebounding as well out there.
Huge.
Just giving them another chance to do it. But yeah, you're right with Kyle Korver. Like, he doesn't need much space at all. But even for him, a couple of those shots seemed just a little bit rushed and just a little bit deep and a little bit early almost into the shot clock than they needed to be.
This has been a very, very close series. When you look at the aggregate score, it's 394 for the Nets, 393 for the Hawks. But I wonder and I struggle with, are the Nets winning these games or are the Hawks sort of losing them? Or is it a little bit of both? Have you been impressed with how Brooklyn's played, be it Deron Williams in Game 4, Brook Lopez all series, or are the Hawks just a little confusing to you right now, especially offensively?
The Nets are impressive.
All right.
I think you have to start with that. I mean, they are playing basically up to their capabilities. When Lionel Holland said we don't have an advantage in this series, he was lying. He knew that Brook Lopez is his advantage because he's definitely going to him. When he said, we don't need to take away Kyle Korver, he was lying. He knew he had to take him away, and he has. And they've done a good job. I think it's really on Jeff Teague's shoulders. I think he's got a lot of space out there, and he has to be the instigator for this offense. And Paul Millsap is starting to look better. Al Horford is starting to look better. I thought they didn't start the series very well, but they're coming on. I feel like Game 5 is going to be a smackdown.
It is?
I feel like the Hawks are going to come out to play.
Pretty crazy that this is a best-of-3 series, though, suddenly, because a lot of us picking Hawks in 4 or maybe Hawks in 5. One thing from this game, Lee, I had to show you this. There was a gentleman sitting in like the second row there, great seats, who I was convinced was wearing your All-Star swaggy shirt.
Yeah, it does look very
It's pretty
much like
similar,
it.
right?
He's obviously got impeccable taste, that fella, yeah.
Yeah.
But less swag.
Well, he's swag. He's got glasses as well.
Steve Ashburner
That is swag. When you got glasses, that just screams swag.
Steve Ashburner said that's Wizards advanced scout, actually, Greg Ballard.
Oh,
I guess you guys shop at
He's
the
obviously got an
Sure.
intelligent
All right.
basketball mind.
Let's go to Chicago here. The Bucks trying to do the impossible. Obviously, we're down 3-0 in this series, but they've won the last 2. Michael Carter-Williams with 22 and 9. Chris Money Middleton scored 21. And they avoid elimination again. 94-88 victory, and this thing is suddenly going to Game 6 in Milwaukee.
Chris Money Middleton, is he fighting this weekend? Through the first 4 games, we saw alternating great games from Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler. In Game 5, we didn't have one of those. Both of them really, really struggled. I felt they were just sort of forcing it into the lane, and the Bucks capitalized on what they do best, and that's use their length. They blocked those guys a ton, 10 combined blocks for Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler. These guys combined for 10 of 41. You need one of these guys to play well. They were just running into the defense, I felt like.
You're a Bulls fan, Trey. Are you at all worried about what's going on in this series?
0%. This series, guaranteed, is over on Thursday. I thought the Bulls came out within the first 2 minutes. You knew they were going to lose because they were lazing through sets. They weren't aggressive going to the hoop, and it kind of starts with Derrick Rose. The first 3 games, Derrick Rose was back, People were excited. Tuss told me to get vulnerable about it and accept it. But the problem is that Derrick Rose, in the past 2 games to me, has looked like early season Derrick Rose, where he's trying to work his way into it, not quite as aggressive. He's trying to pick his shots. And I really feel like he's trying to focus a little bit too much on playmaking, which is a weird criticism. But he's getting to the hoop and he's looking to make passes. But there's so many arms out there. Just get to the hoop, get some free throws, get some shots up. To me, he has been different the past 2 games, and that maybe is saying we got this series in the bag. I want to be healthy for the next series, or maybe he's just trying to work his way back, which wouldn't be totally surprising.
Look, Rose and the Bulls in general were on fire from three-point land early in this series, and they've cooled off and come back to earth.
It's not surprising we see a bad game from Derrick Rose, although, you know, most of them, let's hope, are good.
It's been 2, though. It has been 2 bad games.
Lee, you were one of the guys here at the table that picked this series to go long. Some of us said 6, but I remember you said Bulls in 7. Have you been impressed with the Bucks and the fight they put up? Michael Carter-Williams looking maybe his best game as a Milwaukee Buck last night.
Definitely his best game as a Milwaukee Buck. He wasn't afraid to attack Derrick Rose because Michael Carter-Williams can't shoot, but he was getting into the lane, getting those floaters and those little layups that just make it a little bit hard to defend because he's got those long arms. So he was fantastic. But this is where I think a playoff series works to the advantage of the Milwaukee Bucks because they can really set up. They know what the Bulls are doing, and Jason Kidd's team is built on defense, and I think they frustrated the Bulls last night. Tasha mentioned about the shot block. Every time Butler and Rose went in there, they knew someone's arm was up there contesting a shot, and I think that's very important for the
Scary
Bucks.
part is no home court advantage for the Bulls at home.
Well, all the Bucks.
There's more fans in Milwaukee during the month.
There's no cheering.
Yeah.
It's so quiet.
It's very, very weird.
They come out with no energy, it's bad news.
Bucks trying to make history to become the first team to ever come back from 3-0 to win a playoff series.
Not happening, Bucks!
All right, gotta take a break. When we come back, Crossfire.
Welcome to Crossfire. If you're new to the show, this is how it works. Trey will give Skeets and I 3 topics. We'll debate each one, and at the end of it all, Trey will declare a winner. Trey, what is our first topic, please?
Well, the Players Association just announced the categories for their inaugural Basketball Players Award, so we're going to run through a few of those categories and get your guys' take. And the first one is a fun one. Which NBA player is the hardest to guard?
It's Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors. There are not too many guys that come along and change the way defenses play, guys. Steph Curry comes across the floor and he needs to be guarded. He's just that special, combined with the handles, obviously. This is his 6th year in the league, and we already know he's going to be the best three-point shooter of all time. He is special. His coach knows it. Everybody in the league knows it.
I love this one, hardest to guard. I do think that Curry's going to be in the running. LeBron's always going to be in the running. Maybe a guy like Westbrook, but I'll say James Harden. A little bigger, obviously much bigger than a guy like Curry. Still has the handles, and he's a nightmare because he can shoot the 3, he can attack, get to the line. It's very difficult to just guard him one-on-one because he really can do so much. Curry is a great pick, but I think I could see players leaning a little more towards Harden in this hardest to guard category.
I think players might not vote for him because they don't appreciate the way he draws fouls. And they don't
think that'll
like
upset
that.
them?
Yes.
Upset them.
That the way he just throws his body into them might not pick him.
They should break it down a little bit, too. There should be, like, deadliest shooter and best handles and stuff like that.
They've got like 10 categories.
Well, I know, but...
It's going to be a long luncheon.
All right, next one.
Second question, a few different ways you can go with it, but who is taking home the first ever Global Impact Player Award?
Yeah, what does global impact player mean? I assume it means best international player.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean the guy that sold the most shoes in China. I mean, if
Who
it
knows?
is, I'm sure it's Kobe. But if it's best international player, this is going to be like a lifetime achievement award for Dirk Nowitzki. I really do. Yeah, they're
Really?
going to give it to Dirk. If this is what it means. Because this will really probably be the last time they can really give it to him. So they're just going to be like, well, if we had been doing this for 10 years, he would have got it a couple times. So, hey, let's just give it to Dirk right now. And I have no problems with that. No problems with it.
Get with the times, Skeets. It's Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol was voted an all-star starter.
Not by
this
the players.
Season. It doesn't matter. By the fans. They know
well,
who the
the
best
players are
He
voting
was
here.
part of this monumental photo where he tipped off with his brother. He also might get some extra votes because they're thinking they're voting for Pau Gasol. Who knows?
Oh.
Next to him on the ballot.
Yeah.
He's a great passer. Also, he forced my wife and I to go to Spain to watch the FIBA World Cups. Remember that trip, Danielle? It was a lovely trip. It was our honeymoon.
So you
remember
do
at
have
the
someone that
time?
watches basketball games with you.
Well, I forced her to.
Yeah, you're lying.
All right. Topic 3.
All right, final one.
Final award doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but it's a good one. Who is the player you secretly wish was on your team?
That's a real award.
It is. And I think we're going to vote for Chris Paul. Chris Paul is that guy you want to go into the trenches with, you want to fight with. He'll guard bigger guys. He'll do whatever he has to do on the basketball floor to win. Also, it helps that he's the president of the National Basketball Players Association. Might want to vote for him. And also, if you remember the first recipient of the Twyman Stokes Award, the award that went to the best teammate, it was Chauncey Billups in 2013. This guy is Chauncey Billups like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that this would go to a player that's unselfish and gets you the ball and tries to set you up, which is why I go with LeBron James. Not a point guard, but maybe one of the best passing
Kind of a
bigger
point
men
guard.
of all time. Yeah, really, sort of is a point guard. I also think Matt Moore at CBS Sports had a great point of why LeBron would win this. You factor in the money, because when you win, you make more money, and these guys know that's a business, and you're likely going very deep into the playoffs with LeBron James on your team. He would want to be beside you. That's why it makes sense that they'll vote LeBron for me in this one. But Chris Paul, yeah, an unselfish guy is where they're going for.
Are they going to campaign for these awards because they win money?
They
They're going to
might.
send out trinkets?
Yeah, I hopefully do. All right, who won this thing?
Winner today is Tass, because I didn't know you got married, but congratulations.
All right, congrats.
That was our honeymoon. Got married 4 years ago.
Beautiful.
Wow, thanks for letting us know. We gotta take a break. When we come back, we'll look ahead to tonight's 2 Game 5s in Houston and LA. You're watching the starters. Welcome back to the starters. Let's start looking ahead to tonight's 2 Game 5s, and we'll start with the late one, 10:30 p.m. Eastern start between the Spurs and the Clippers. It's in LA, series tied at 2 games apiece. Lee, are you gonna be able to stay up for a 10:30 start?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, good.
Doesn't start that.
Yeah,
It's
just
only
the
your
first
job,
one.
so I'm glad to hear that.
It's going to be hard not to
but it's
stay up.
actually like 10:47, the tip-off.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
Ernie
tip
will
me
tell
up.
you it's 10:42 probably.
All right.
But of course, with this series, it's sort of you got to start with the stars.
Yes.
With the Clips in Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, who've been pretty phenomenal for a good chunk of this series. They got some help in Game 4, really, in terms of Austin Rivers coming through with some huge points. You can't imagine you're going to see another 7-for-8 Austin Rivers game, but why not another Chris Paul, Blake Griffin game?
Yeah, we're all talking about the bench, and obviously it's key what they get from the non-big three. I like to call them the small three, the second three in Matt Barnes, J.J. Redick, and Jamal Crawford, the next three. That's important, but Chris Paul and Blake Griffin are sort of being overlooked, I feel
Yeah.
like. I mean, this team is so even-keeled against the San Antonio Spurs, the team that invent even-keeledness, if that is a word. Chris Paul is ridiculous. The percentages are ridiculous. 54 from the floor, 45 from 3, 94 from the line.
Wow.
Just so steady. I mean, he has to play about 40 minutes a game. Yeah, Austin Rivers came in and chipped in, but Chris, what he's doing is really phenomenal.
Yeah, giving Tony Parker fits, problems all around the place for the Spurs, and it's coming from the Clippers. And the Clippers, with Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, have 2 guys who can create. That's pretty rare.
Is there any worry, though, because of the way this series has gone in terms of they've only had really 1 full day off? Because now we're into that, you're playing every 2 nights here, that there's any worry that the Clippers starters, who have played massive amounts of minutes compared to the Spurs starters, will burn out here in a Game 5 situation? Does this, and a follow-up question, does this feel like the series, the Game 5, whoever wins tonight probably takes this?
Absolutely. There's no
It does
way,
to me.
There's no way the Spurs are losing another one at home. So if the Clippers don't win tonight, they're going to be facing elimination, obviously, in San Antonio. It's going to be so tough for them. But Chris Paul, getting back to him, Doc Rivers has said he has to be more aggressive looking for his shot because he's great. He's so unselfish. He's always getting other guys involved. But he's one of probably their best shooter on the team. He has to shoot the ball more, make sure he's putting so much pressure on their defenders. He'll get Kawhi Leonard, he'll get Danny Green and Tony Parker, but it's so important for him to look for his shot, I think, for the Clippers.
And as far as the legs go, the Spurs have to play under the same circumstances. They've got a lot of injuries, and they've got some old legs as well. I wouldn't just say, the Clippers aren't going to be able to deal with it just because they're playing 40-plus minutes. I mean, they have been sensational. I just feel like the Clippers are so level-headed. It's kind of hard to vote against them. Blake Griffin, wherever he gets the ball, is a matchup nightmare. He's averaging over 7 assists a game. That's tied for 3rd in the playoffs. He's a power forward. He's tied for third in the playoffs with assists. It's just such a bad matchup for the Spurs. I don't know who is going to win Game 5, but it feels like such an even matchup.
This series has lived up to the hype. That's the
God,
best
yeah.
part. I mean, hope everyone's watching. It has been one of the better, of course, probably the best first-round series that we've had, and we were sort of anticipating that heading into it. Just to back up the starting numbers, the Clippers starting lineup, they played 94 minutes together in this series. The Spurs starting lineup, 37.
Yeah.
And of course, that's not total minutes. I mean, the Spurs guys are playing with other guys, but it's just crazy how much Doc Rivers and that Clippers team rely on those guys to not get in foul trouble, to keep their stamina up, be there in the fourth quarter. And I wonder if at any point as the series goes on, you just get a little more tired. But
Clippers are playing 8 guys. That's kind of standard in the
It is,
playoffs.
it
You know,
is.
it's just the 6th or the 7th and 8th guys really just don't play a ton of minutes. I think that kind of catches up with them further down the road in the playoffs this time. Just in a
Possible.
7-game series, I think it's fine.
All right, moving on. Mavericks Rockets game getting us started. Lee, will you stay up for this one?
I'll be up for this
Okay,
one,
good.
for sure.
All right, I didn't know if you took a nap before the 10:30 game. Mavs Rocks game 5. The Rockets can close this out. They're up 3-1. Dallas did a great job of extending the series and getting that game 4 win. And a big reason was, and it was something you talked about, Tass, was the switching up or how they were going to play James Harden.
I think Al-Farouq Aminu was very key, just to slowing down James Harden. You're never going to stop him. They also took a page out of the Portland Trailblazers playbook last year and went at him on the first possession, just like Portland did with Wesley Matthews, trying to make him work a little bit. Al-Farouq Aminu obviously doesn't have the offensive game that Wesley Matthews does, but they're just trying to tire him out, and Aminu did a very good job. The length obviously bothered James Harden, and Harden was only 1 for 7 on 3-point shots. But I think Aminu is just a strong player. He only fouled him once to send him to the line. That is key. Again, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. And Al-Farouq Aminu, as sort of a one-dimensional player, just go play D, man. Just stop this guy. Just slow him down a little bit. Helped out.
He kind of set the tone, too, because the Mavericks, through the first 3 games of the series, were kind of just taking whatever the Rockets were giving them. They were hitting back in Game 4. I thought they played harder, and they need to do it again in Game 5.
What's your gut say tonight? Series ends?
Oh, yeah.
I say Rockets, yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I got
sorry
an
to
I don't
ask.
know.
It's been a feisty series. I think
think-
we're going to see a few more tech fouls as well.
I think it ends tonight. But let's hear what people think. Let us know on Twitter, #starters. One more break. When we come back, Lee throws 2 thumbs on a very solid play. Welcome back to the starters. Time for Lee Ellis's very solid play of the night. Where are we going, Lee?
We're going to Brooklyn, and gentlemen, we have the very rare double ender.
Yes!
Atlanta Hawks, yes.
Still don't know what that means, but
Brooklyn Nets, we're going to get an easy basket. The Hawks force a turnover. Down the other end, Mike Scott ends with a beautiful...
Swish bomb!
Yes, that's just perfect execution from the Hawks.
Ooh, bad pass
Couldn't
from
finish
Korver
off the
there.
game,
That was a
though,
low
but that's
pass.
what I call a very solid play.
There it is. There are the thumbs. Thank you, Lily.
You're welcome.
Looking ahead to tonight's games, just to refresh your memory here, it's the Mavs and the Rockets at 8 p.m. Eastern. The doubleheader, it's on TNT, followed by Spurs and the Clippers, Game 5. Yeah, make sure you have your tea, your coffee, whatever you need to keep you up, you East Coasters, because this one, I have a very, very good feeling about this Game 5. Very good feeling.
It's been an incredible series.
It has, but I feel like we're going to take it to another level even. And come on, let's hear a Mavs-Rockets prediction.
No, let's talk about the Clippers
Come on,
first.
Tass.
Come on.
I'm definitely taking the Clippers. I'm the only one at this table that took the Clippers.
You
Taking
did.
the Spurs, then.
You did.
Smart pick.
All right. Well, let's hear what you guys think. Let us know on Twitter. We'll be back here tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, the first comment on YouTube is not a thing.
Race the night, people.